This is The Road Ahead, Chapter 10. Apologies if my voice sounds slightly different in this one. I'm still getting over a bit of a cold. But now let's head along and continue. Their home was a mess of thundering footsteps and hushed curses. Tension hung in the air like a curtain, threatening to tear as feet continued to tap, tap, tap along the wooden floors. Eyes were shut tight, if only to banish tears. It did nothing to dissolve the gloom that had settled over the group in a thick cloud. Virgil's hushed muttering again rose above everything. Logan tried to push away the sound, the same way he had been doing for the past hour. His black jumpsuit scratched at his skin. Logan shifted, pressing his glasses up with the nose bridge still slick with sweat. Shadows covered the room. It felt wrong to brighten it when their situation seemed nothing other than dark. Of course this was all gonna go wrong, Virgil muttered through his fingers. He dragged trails down his face as shaky breaths escaped him. I wasn't thinking. God, why wasn't I thinking? His footsteps left a pounding in Logan's head every time he paced around the floor. His eyes were reddened from holding back various waves of what Logan could have only assumed to be tears. He's gone, Virgil whispered. He's gone and never coming back for all we know. We should have known. We shouldn't have gone. Remus glanced up from the floor. Virgil. His voice was tired, as if even mentioning his friend's name was a great effort. Janice was the one who knew how to get in and out. If he failed, then what does that mean for us? What if they come for us too? What if they're hurting him right now? What if Janice has given us away right now to save himself? Virgil. What if they knew we were coming all along? What if they'd been tracking us at the gas station? What if... Virgil! Remus shot to his feet, reaching for Virgil, who flinched at the touch. Breathe, all right? Don't you tell me to breathe. Virgil's gaze flicked between his hand and Remus's, back and forth as if teetering on a seesaw. Don't tell me to be calm when everything is falling apart. Hey, it's okay. Just give yourself a moment. Remus's eyes were pleading. We can fix it. He again reached out for Virgil's hand. Virgil jerked from his grasp with eyes narrowed. Liar, he hissed. Virgil, Patton's voice emerged, concerned. No, I don't see why you all are acting like everything is fine and dandy when it isn't. They took Janice, and you know what? He turned to Remus, pointing an accusatory finger. They took your brother too, so why don't you act like it? We don't even know if he's still alive. Don't, Remus warned. His eyes gained a dangerous spark. And now you're concerned. Good to know you finally care. Shut up, Virgil. Remus was shaking. He clenched his fists to hide their tremor. They locked eyes and the room fell silent. I'm going to get some space. Maybe you should think of doing the same. Remus broke away and disappeared into the shadows of the next room. Virgil was next to break. He fell backwards onto the couch with his head buried in his hands. A wavering sigh left his lips, and his shoulders shook. Patton shot a worried glance towards Logan, who could only reflect the same concern. What was there to do when they had lost nearly everything? Janice was gone, and the flash drive with him. As if that hadn't been enough, Logan had seen Roman fall, and faced the cruel reality that his best friend, too, had been taken. That was the worst part. Logan hadn't known Janice long, but even knowing what he could face was enough to leave a deep pit in his stomach. By adding Roman to the same equation, his worry only sunk deeper. Patton caught his eye and tipped his head toward the room where Remus had disappeared. They shouldn't split up like this. Not when they'd already lost too much. Logan already saw Patton shifting to Virgil's side, pressing a hand to his shoulder. Logan rose to his feet and, resting his hand on the door frame, shot Patton one last look. As if reading his mind, Patton gave a soft smile and nodded. He would be all right. At least everyone hoped as such. Logan had never traveled anywhere in the small house besides the living room, though as he followed Remus's path, he came to a staircase. It creaked under his feet as he ascended. Higher and higher, Logan emerged in a darkened hallway. At the end of the hall was a door. Padding with socked feet, Logan moved to it until he could rest his knuckles upon the wood. Deep breath, air flowed into his lungs and calmed his racing mind. He knocked. Once, twice, thrice. Logan strained to hear so much as a word behind the other side of the door. A bare murmur emerged, wavering. What? Remus, it's Logan. He spoke calmly, his hand laid gently on the doorknob. Is it all right to come in? No response. Logan waited in the quiet, and as he stood, he swore he could feel the shadows move closer around his form. He shifted on his feet until an answer surfaced. Okay. The brass knob creaked as it turned. Moonlight from the hallway windows seeped into the room in a pale stripe, tracing over the floor until it fell upon Remus. He was on the ground, knees held tight to his chest as he looked away at nothing in particular. Logan worried he was too loud, too intrusive as he stepped in. For each step he took, the floorboards creaked in protest, as if shouting against him. Remus didn't seem to notice. He settled beside a small nightstand and flicked on the nearby lamp, if only to read Remus's expression. When the small room was flooded with light, Logan observed that Remus's eyes had a shine to them. I'm sorry for the events as of recent. Logan lowered himself into a crisscross position beside Remus, careful not to linger too close. He folded his hands neatly in his lap. I understand how all of this is quite the opposite of what anyone wanted. Remus nodded, still not a word. It was unsettling seeing Remus so quiet, when the opposite was all Logan had known. He almost missed the random remarks. Without Remus's excitable nature, the world just felt gray. Somehow, Logan found himself inching closer. Not enough to startle the one beside him, but just enough that Logan now caught the gleam of light in Remus's eyes. His fingers were but a breath away from where Remus's hand rested on the floorboards. He cleared his throat. Why did it all of a sudden feel so tight? I know it's hard for me to truly understand how you're feeling, but I'd like to if you'd allow me. Patton reminds me that sometimes it's better to share our emotions rather than keep them bottled up, and I wouldn't want you to burst from holding in so much pain. Remus glanced up. You really want to listen? Of course. No one deserves to be ignored. Logan didn't know how to explain it. One moment, Remus was but a shell, the same walking shadow he had seen disappear up the stairs. Now his eyes gained a new shine of tears. But this was different, relieved. Logan felt his heart swell and watched the words pour out of Remus. He didn't listen, though not that he ever did. Not to me, anyways. I called him that night, and he... Remus blinked, caught on his words. He just kept running. He didn't listen, and look where that got him. Logan, too, recalled the moment they had turned, only to find one had vanished. He remembered searching frantically himself until he had caught Remus reaching out towards the doors. Just in front, Roman had raced back, and it too took everything for Logan not to follow. No one had left that night with pleasant memories. It must be hard, losing two people you care about at once. I know Janice can handle it, at least enough to last a bit longer, but Roman doesn't know when to stop. He'll let them kill him before he realizes he's not invincible. It'll be all right. Logan tried to reassure him, though Remus shook his head. It wasn't all right last time. But that's why we'll be there. Surely we can break in again. We've done so twice before. That was when we had Janice, and a solid plan. Clearly, we're not very solid without a path to follow. Then why can't we make our own path? Logan raised a brow, and Remus too peaked with interest. Beneath the thoughts that are swarming your mind, I know you can create an idea. A solid plan may have granted us success previously, but just as we've seen, all plans have flaws. His hand slipped over Remus's. Maybe this time we need something a bit unconventional. How can you trust we won't screw it up again? I can't. But isn't it worth it to try to save those we've lost? Wow, Remus breathed. I never thought I'd hear those words come out of your mouth. I can't say I would have predicted the same either. Logan shrugged. His breath caught when Remus's fingers tightened around his own. A smile emerged on Remus's face, not like before, but enough to brighten the room just a little bit. I like it. Logan's face grew flushed, and he thanked the darkness of the room for concealing the blush on his cheeks. Shall we gather the others then? Remus nodded, and together they returned to the living room where Virgil and Patton awaited. They were going to fix everything. Somehow. This has been Chapter 10 of The Road Ahead. Thank you so very much for listening, and I will see you next time for Chapter 11.